What is up, guys? This is Zincraz here. Today I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different. This here is a website called PC Part Picker. And this website here will allow you to basically compile a parts list for a PC and basically check compatibility. There'll be other users on here who could help you out in the forums if you're not sure about what you want to do. And it's a really good way for comparing prices. I just go on it rather a lot, build up custom systems, just like, oh, I could do that, and I could do this, and I could do that. And I'm putting it to some good use. I'm going to try and help you guys come up with a pretty nice £550 computer. So, sorry for all you guys in America. I know that half my subscriber base is made up of you Americans and Canadians as well. So, for you guys, if there's much demand after this one for similar sort of stuff, I will cover that as well, and we'll do a $550 build, or maybe the equivalent, sort of $700, possibly something like that. Okay, let's get into it. So, first of all, to get started, you want to click System Build. However, if you don't have that, you can also click Get Started, and that will send you in here. So you're met with a pretty simple UI. Obviously you can just pick your parts down here. This time we're going to be going with an AMD FX 6300, which is one of their 6-core processors. It's not necessarily the fastest that they do, or the best, but in terms of performance to price, it is one of the best on the market. Now, I believe it's up in the top rated, so yep, here we go. So 104 people have rated it, and it's still got 4.5 stars, give or take, which is pretty damn good. You can see it's 3.5 gigahertz. So you've got all these little bars up here that tell you basically all the information that you need to know. And the price, you can actually get it lower in some places, but I've only I've only set my parts preferences to places I know that I can get the price with the included shipping and postage. So that includes Amazon, Dabs, eBuyer, and overclockers. Now sometimes CCL and sometimes Scan will show that, but not always on the products, and that can add a fair bit to the price. So we're going to avoid that for now. So just go ahead and click the Add button on that, and that'll bring you back to the main page, and it's also added this to your list. Also down here it'll show you your total. So it's a bit of a help if you're trying to budget like we are right now. With this sort of build, you don't really need a CPU cooler unless you're overclocking, but I have the hopes that if you are getting a PC, you do plan on overclocking, because that is one of the key benefits with a PC as opposed to a console. That and upgradability, of course, which is why we're going to be getting fairly upgradable components. In here, AMD motherboards, you can get a good one for pretty cheap. I mean, we're not going to go super scringer and get the cheapest board out there. You still want a decent board. Now, Gigabyte are usually pretty good with their boards. This is a really cheap board, but it comes with USB free, which is one of the highest. It's the highest speed commercially available USB. There is these, I forget the name, but it's an Intel one, and it's basically fucking bomb fast. But yeah, we don't really need to worry about that too much. You can also stick to the good ratings, because the ones of the good ratings generally are the ones that are good. The ones that have really crap ratings, like 0 stars, is better than 2 stars. 0 stars is also better than 3 stars on a motherboard. I mean, if a motherboard is not 4 stars or 5 stars, it kind of gets you wondering, what is wrong with that motherboard? Why are people avoiding it? Why has someone rated that motherboard poorly? Now, it may be that sometimes you get people who do not like the features that motherboard provides, but that's quite often just down to the price they paid and they expected more. But if you're paying like £32, that's really nothing. If you're paying £32 for a motherboard, you're not really expecting to get top quality products with top quality features. We're going to go right here for the Gigabyte. Although if you were a bit uncomfortable going with the Gigabyte and wanted to go with something a little bit further up, then you would go for this Asus board, which is pretty similar feature wise, but probably a bit better for thermal. Actually, we'll go for the Asus, and if we have enough money, it'll fit in. Well, if we have enough space in our budget, it'll fit in. Otherwise, we may have to change it back to the gigabyte one. Memory is actually quite a kind of controversial thing, because some people go, oh, that memory's cheap, it's going to be shit, let's avoid it, let's get the really super expensive stuff. But realistically, you guys aren't going to be seeing that much performance difference. I mean, they've all got to pass a test. I mean, I wouldn't exactly go, let's say, get like 1 gigabyte, what's 2 gigabytes even, of DDR 1333. I mean, it's not going to do you any good, but that's not to say that getting the cheapest RAM is always going to be bad. I mean, or getting the most expensive RAM is always going to be good. If you get some RAM that's kind of mid-range, I still think you're overpaying for it, because mid-range for RAM tends to be about sort of £60 or maybe £55. That's still quite a lot for RAM. This is one that I've used, this one here, PNY Accelerate, or XLR8 if you want to be super specific. It's DDR 1600, well, DDR3 1600 megahertz, which is the kind of standard that everyone generally people will go for, 1600 megahertz. But again, if you feel like you're kind of scrimping on the quality, this is one of the areas I would say don't feel like you're scrimping on the quality, because it's fine. It's absolutely fine to get cheap RAM. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Now, storage. The storage is a bit of a difficult one, because some people feel they need lots of storage. Personally, for me, if I'm getting a gaming computer, a computer I'm just going to be gaming on, nothing else, then I would just... I've barely used up 300 gigabytes on my personal rig at the moment, and I can't really see anyone exceeding 500 gigabytes on a hard drive. Generally, you want to get a good quality hard drive. Hard drives are one area that you don't want to cheap out. I mean, if you get a really kind of bog standard, crappy hard drive, and if you have tons of data on it, you have all your games, all your saves, if that fails on you, there's no way to get that data back most of the time. I mean, sometimes you can send it off to get your data recovered, other times there's been an internal failure and it's completely messed up the whole system, and there's no way of getting your data back. So I tend to go for Seagate or Western Digital. Western Digital Caviar Blue is good, and Seagate Barracudas are also good. Price per gigabyte is the best way to search. You can also use these sidebars down here and basically select the options that kind of matter to you most. I mean, PCIe. Actually, PCIe, that's good. Probably that'll be a PCIe SSD, and those will be really fast ones, faster than SATA. So there we go, 500 gigabyte SSD, not SSD, 500 gigabyte selected there, and price per gigabyte up here. So there's an example of a bad one. That's 2 ratings and it's on 3 stars. If it's 2 and it's on 3 stars, like with 2 you'd at least expect it maybe to be, if someone rated it at 3 stars, someone rated it 5 stars, it'd be at 4 stars. So that means 2 people have had like kind of really bad experience with this hard drive, most likely, and they both rated it 3 stars. That could also be down to the speed of a hard drive. Well, a hard drive you generally want to have 7,200 RPM. If you're having like 5,400, you're going to have a pretty slow speed on your hard drive. I mean, obviously the standard hard disk cannot compare to a solid state drive, but the 7,200, there is quite a big difference between that and the 5,400. So right here you can see is a Seagate Barracuda. That was actually rated quite low, so it might just be a bad vendor, which is what's happened here. But we're going to go for the Caviar Blue. They have a 2-year warranty, I believe. I've got one of these in my system at the moment, and so far had no problems with it. And that's going to basically cover storage. You could get an SSD in the future if you really wanted to. But if you're paying this much for a system, the SSDs, you're probably not going to have much to spend on your SSD. I mean, if you wanted to have a performance upgrade, so you didn't have quite enough for an SSD, but you had more than enough for a HDD, then I would recommend getting an SSHD, which is a solid state hybrid drive, which is basically a cross between the solid state drive and the hard drive, and that gives you a kind of not quite SSD, not quite HDD, somewhere in the middle in terms of speed. So that could improve your boot time. That's one of the things I found annoying on my laptop, which I find brilliant on my PC, but I don't know what it'd be like kind of in between. I haven't actually got an SSHD myself to try it out with, but hopefully one of you guys do, and you can give me a comment saying if it's good or not. But the theory behind it should be good. In terms of graphics cards, now I went ahead and got 770 in my system. Now the reasons behind that weren't just because it was pure power. It comes with Shadow Play. They've got upcoming G-Sync. Even though I didn't know about that at the time, I now know about it now, and I'm kind of like, yes, I'm glad I got that card. They've also got another few nice features. Overall, I prefer NVIDIA software. I have used AMD software on an older laptop and I didn't like it quite as much as the NVIDIA ones. In saying that, AMD are far better at budgeting their cards. You can pick up a AMD card that will run Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 even, on high, for about £150, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to scroll down and we're going to select our Radeon HD 7870GHz edition. This here is actually cheaper, the MSI edition anyway, than the standard 7870, and that's probably just due to purchase. So you can see here, Radeon 7870GHz edition. Oh, it's actually gone down in price. It's currently £142.20. Nice little surprise in there. Case doesn't matter too much when you're building a computer. It's really personal preference. But considering we're sticking to a budget here, we're probably not going to spend too much on a case. And I mean, like, barely anything. Okay. Now, Bitfinex, they're generally a good brand to get a budget case from. I'm pretty sure this one here has cable management in it, and that's something you want to look at when you're considering getting a case. If you're getting a modular power supply, getting cable management in a case might not be quite as big a deal, because you'll have only the cables you need. What the hell is Wajam? Go away. There we go. So you can see, yeah, this one here does have cable management. It's got 3 cable management slots here, 1 down the bottom, and that's the power supply. I think that's just hooks. Though you might be able to run cables out, up the back and round. It's actually a fairly smooth looking case. I mean, it's nothing special, but for the price that you're paying for it, it's pretty damn good quality, and it doesn't look like a fucking transformer like some of the cases out there. Certainly the transformer style stuff, you can see that if you look at, I believe that Cooler Master one there, that's someone else built. Look at that. But this one here, it's got a Z thing on the side, blue spinny. I don't like these cases. I prefer smooth, nice cases. And now some people do like those transformer cases, as I call them, with all those spinny, flashy lights and big, loud fans and all that kind of stuff. I prefer kind of silence and smooth. And this Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo is probably one of the cheapest, well-performing coolers that you can get in the market at the moment. It's also one of the quiet ones, which is quite a nice feature, and that's why I added it in there. The power supply at this budget is not really going to matter too much. Now you might be like, well, power supply, this. Some people are going to tell you, do get this one, get that one, don't get this one, don't get that one, but as long as you're getting something that is of a trusted brand, so I would say Corsair, Be Quiet's quite good, XFX, they're alright, Seagate is generally the best one to go for. So Seagate, not that one, number up here. There we go. Seagate M1211 520 bronze. That's a good solid power supply. Seagate actually make a lot of the power supplies for the other companies. I can't remember which ones. I'm pretty sure they make Corsair's ones, although I may be wrong in that, so don't hold me to that. And we're up to £486, so we've actually only got a small fraction of our budget left, and that's going to go into Windows. However, if you don't have a need for Windows, I would recommend maybe getting an SSD in this system. Let's say you've already got an old computer and you're able to transfer your operating system, as in you can get your key cancelled for the old system and they can give you a new key. Sometimes they do that, although it's not that heard of these days. But yeah, if you need Windows, well, Windows is going into that budget. And that brings us up pretty much to our 550. It's actually a little bit over, but we're not going to worry about that too much, because all our postage is free. No paying for postage. So that is a £556.33 build. You can check out this build over on the DIY PC forum blog thing that I've set up on Tumblr. I'm just gonna put this up as a bit of a, actually there's a 1TB one there, so yeah, some of this stuff isn't exactly the same. This is actually one I set up earlier in the year, but I haven't really used it much, basically because I had, I wasn't really going anywhere with it and I wasn't really thinking about much of it. But now, starting this series, go check that out. I've called it Personal, it's spelled with C-E-R, it's like personal but with C at the start, and that was meant to be for computer personal, PC, very much. And that's Tumblr that I've used. So if you're interested in seeing my kind of breakdown of what I'd recommend you do, then I suggest you go over there. However, if you're more interested in this system here, then I'll also provide the link for this system in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next time.